Hello all, welcome to Advanced Engineering Physics, Quantum Computing Part 6. This is Dr. S. Deepthi, Assistant Professor in Physics, Department of H&S, MLR Institute of Technology. So today we are going to learn about quantum entanglement, Diois-Jozsa algorithm and Gruber's quantum algorithm. These are the algorithms that are key concepts and key notations for all the algorithms, quantum algorithms coming in future, and they have already existing. Okay, so before going to know about the algorithms, let us have a brief look on quantum entanglement. This is a very important concept where we are going to make the interconnection between quantum physics and also computers. Okay, so let us move in detail. So quantum entanglement is a fundamental phenomena in quantum mechanics where two or more particles remain correlated in such a way that the state of one instantly determines the state of other even if they are separated by very long distances. Okay, this is called as spooky action at a distance by Einstein. Okay, so Einstein gave this spooky action. What the figure notation over here? They are two atoms which are randomly moving in a universe. So these two atoms are randomly moving. An atom means what? It consists of several number of protons, neutrons and electrons, and the spinning of the atom will be different for each and every atom. Spinning of electron will be different for each and every atom. This is all we know from atomic senses, right? So this is the basic thing that we are going to note down. Okay, if an atom is there, there are several electrons will be revolving around the atom, and each electron will be revolving with a particular spin. The spinning will be differed. You might have already learned about the principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, magnetic quantum number, and also the spin quantum number, where the quantum effect determines is the spin quantum number. So what we are going to do, so whenever an atom is there, for suppose an atom is there at one position and the atom is moving with different electrons, and one electron, for example, we will take one electron. So an atom consists of several electrons, but for example we'll take one electron and the electron is spinning up. Let us consider like this. So if this atom is entangled with another atom or is entangled with another atom in which is at a larger distance from the first atom, then also, even though there is no physical contact between these two atoms, then also the electron will be there which will be spinning up at the same time, same moment, when these two are entangled. So if these are the two entangled atoms, then what happens? If the electrons in the entangled atom spin up, for a suppose, then the second atom also have the same sign. This is what is called as a spooky effect at larger distances. Okay, so at that time, during Einstein time, this spooky effect was introduced between the celestial objects. Okay, celestial bodies, between two different atoms in the universe, or between two different bodies in the universe, they have applied this particular spooky effect. So the quantum entanglement phenomena is the basic phenomena that whenever the atom is with one spin, then the second atom is also with the same spin. This is the primary things of quantum entanglement. Now, what does quantum entanglement gives us? Quantum parallelism, enhanced computational power, quantum error correction, quantum communication. Okay, so quantum parallelism. Entanglement allows quantum computers to perform multiple calculations simultaneously. So, during Einstein times, they have applied the quantum mechanical effect to the particular celestial objects. But we are coming down here, we are getting down the concept of quantum entanglement to our computers, quantum computers, not the real computers, quantum computers. How does this takes place? Okay, let us see in detail. Okay, so when qubits are entangled, the same principle is applied over here. So there we have applied for atom or for atomic objects or for celestial objects. Here we are going to apply the same entanglement principle to qubits. When two qubits are entangled, for example, measuring one qubit provides immediate information about the state of the other qubit, enabling complex calculations to be executed in parallel. Okay, so complex calculations are also will be executed in parallel due to the qubit notation. So one qubit is going to operate in a one manner, and the same qubit and the same operation will be carried out by another qubit, even though they are at larger distances. This is the application of quantum entanglement to the quantum computers. So now, in with this application, what happens? With this application, there will be enhancement in the computational power. Quantum algorithms such as Shor's algorithm for factorizing the large numbers, and Gruber algorithm for searching unsorted disturbances, Lewis entangled states to our outform the classical algorithms. So what happens here? Here, the entanglement will provide the computational speed more and more compared to the classical mechanisms. This capability is what gives the quantum computers their potential to solve problems that are currently intractable with for classical computers. Okay, so classical computers will not work to that extent where the quantum computers are going to work due to the application of quantum entanglement to the particular qubits. Okay, so now quantum error correction. Entangled qubits are used to detect and correct errors, maintaining coherence in quantum systems and protecting information from decoherence. This decoherence we'll learn later. So, what happens here? With the improvement in the curriculum, or with the improvement in the quantum entanglement to the quantum computers, then what happens? The errors will be easily corrected, easily identified and corrected. Okay, identification is done. How identification is done? When one qubit transfers the information, if one qubit transfers one information, for example, 1 byte of information is going to transfer from one qubit to another qubit. So, 1 byte of information means, for example, ket 0. Yes, we know about ket 0, no? Ket 0, let us consider one qubit transfers ket 0 to another qubit. The another qubit is going to receive the same ket 0. Because why? Because these two are entangled. These two qubits are entangled, qubit 1 and this is qubit 2. Okay. Then if it is going to, if it wants to send a qubit ket 0 to qubit 2 to ket 0 to qubit 2, then the same will be received by qubit because it is already entangled with the first qubit. Okay, so that the transfer of information is made easy, and if it does not accept, if the qubit is not going to accept the, for example, if the qubit is in the state of ket 1 state, so it might not accept the ket 0 state, then the ket 1, then the ket 0 will remain over with the qubit q1 itself. Okay, so in this way the time will also be saved, and also what happens here, the any other problems will not be erased. Okay, so that error correction will be done. Now coming to quantum communication. Entanglement enables quantum teleportation, allowing the transfer of quantum states between distinct qubits without moving matter, forming the basis for secure of quantum networks. Okay, this is what the teleportation, we already discussed about it, but in depth that term is called as quantum teleportation, where the data transfer will be taken place between the bits, between the qubits, without the physical interaction of the qubits and also without the moving of matter, forming the basis for the to secure quantum networks. Okay, now see the figure over here, entangled qubits. When two qubits are entangled over here, for example, Alice is a one person and Bob is another person. Okay, so what happens here? Here, Alice is one person and Bob is another person. Here, what happens here? There is a bell pair. Okay, two pair of qubits are there over here, and two pair of qubits are over there with the Bob. So, when these qubits are entangled, Alice and Bob each have a pair of qubits in the bell state, the simplicity and maximally entangled state. Okay, now each gives a qubit to Kristen, who performs a bell protection. Kristen is the one who performs the bell protection. Okay, now cleaning up the noise and entangle her newly acquired qubits. So, when the data is transferred between the two qubits, any sort of noise will be sorted out by the such a person, Christine. So, these are the person names just for our sake. Okay, these are the not existing persons in real, but they have kept for our understanding, for students' understanding, they took Alice, Bob and Christine are the three persons, where the three persons are going to transfer the data between them. In the sense, Alice is going to transfer its data and Bob is going to receive the data from the Alice through a person called as Christine, where the Christine, what happens, she will reduce the noise. Okay, so entangled swap. The entanglement swap occurs linking Alice and Bob's qubits. So, finally, the data is transferred between Alice and Bob, where the entanglement is done between the two qubits of Alice and Bob. Okay, this is what entanglement says. So, what are the key concepts of entanglement? So, non-local correlations, wave function collapse, EPR paradox, and Bell's inequality. These are the key concepts. Measurements on entangled particles show correlations that cannot be explained by classical physics or hidden variables. Okay, so these measurements of entangled particles can be done with the particles measurement can be done with the entanglement. Okay, now wave function collapse. Measuring one's particle's property, the spin, instantly determines the outcome for its entangled partner. So here what is the particular thing that we already have discussed with you. The particular thing that is the spinning of the atom will be more precisely working over here. Okay, so with the spin of the atom itself, what happens here? Measuring of one's particle's property. Particles' properties can be measured by each spin instantly. Okay, so the outcome for its entangled partner. Now, EPR paradox proposed by Einstein, Podolsky and Rosen in 1935, questioning whether the quantum mechanics was complete. Just paradox they have given. Bell's inequality. Experiments violating Bell's inequality provided that entanglement cannot be explained by the local hidden variables. Okay, this is the at that time during the notations where Einstein's during the Einstein's period, they have come with different theories, and different theories have proven about the quantum entanglement existence. Okay, now in quantum computer, in particular quantum computer, what happens here? Qubits are prepared in entangled states using quantum gates. For example, if two qubits are entangled, measuring the final qubit or state ket0 or ket1 immediately collapses the second qubit into the corresponding state. Even the qubits are separated by large distances. This is already I have explained you in the previous slide. Okay. This property allows the quantum computers to manipulate complex correlations in data efficiently, which is impossible with the classical bits. So, the major difference between classical computer and quantum computer is its speed. This is all we know, right? So, how to speed up the quantum computer? Quantum computer speed means it'll if the classical computer will do a work in one day, quantum computer will do in within the fraction of second, not 1 second, also fraction of seconds. Okay, so that is the speed of the quantum computer. How the speed how the quantum computer arrives this speed? Quantum computer arrives this speed because of entangled principle, entanglement between the qubits. Okay, maintaining entanglement is technically challenging because quantum states are fragile and susceptible environmental noise will be occurring in between them. That is called as a decoherence. Quantum computers must isolate qubits, often operate at a temperature near to absolute zero. So this is the major thing where the quantum computers, the challenge of quantum computers lies over here. What happens here? Quantum computers must be kept in a place where coolant system will be often working nearly to absolute zero. Okay, so not the room quantum computers will not be operable at room temperature. They will be operable at only zero absolute temperature. Various physical systems are used for qubits, including superconducting circuits, trapped ions and photons, each with unique advantages and scalability considerations. Okay, scalability considerations. We are going to scale the particular consideration. That means what happens here? Whenever we are going to have the qubits and quantum computer applications, quantum computers need to be applied everywhere. Then we need to consider all the considerations where they are to be kept at quantum operable computers are to be kept at absolute zero temperature, and the qubits we are going to transfer the data without noise. These are all the considerations. Okay. Now, so this is this already we have already done. Okay. Now coming to Dwyer-Jozsa algorithm. So this is the final stage of the quantum computing. Okay. So we are going to learn about two algorithms, Dwyer-Jozsa algorithm and also Gruber's algorithm. So what is Dwyer-Jozsa algorithm? How we are going to connect the quantum computation to this algorithm, where we have already learned about Hadamard gate. So here the Hadamard gate plays a vital role in these two algorithms. Okay. So Dwyer-Jozsa algorithm is a quantum algorithm that identifies whether a function is a constant or balanced with one oracle query. So okay. So one query is needed or one function is needed such that the function is constant or balanced. We are going to note down by using Dwyer-Jozsa algorithm. So the Dwyer-Jozsa algorithm is a deterministic quantum algorithm proposed by Davis Joyce and Richard Jozsa in 1992. It is one of the first examples of a quantum algorithm that is exponentially faster than possible deterministic classical algorithms. So this is the first algorithm when they proposed in 1992, and this algorithm, what it gives the difference between the computational power of classical computer and quantum computer. So there is a large difference between the computational speed of quantum computer compared with the classical computer. So this algorithm is the proof of the particular quantum quantum computational speed. Okay. Now, so what is we will take in input of Dwyer-Jozsa algorithm? F is equals to 0, 1 per n. It gives rise to 2 bits 0 and 1. So This is the input function. Promise f is either constant or balanced. Output 0 if f is constant, 1 if f is balanced. Okay, this is the output. Dawes-Jones algorithm with a single query solves this problem in the following sense. If every one of the n measurement comes out 0, then the function is a constant. Otherwise, if at least one of the measurement comes 1, then it is called as balanced. Another way to say that the circuit described above the following the classical processing step in which the or of the measurement comes is computed to the product of output. So what is this one? So what is a constant? What is a balanced? Constant state means if if the function f gives final result as 0 after the application of Hadamard gate to the function ket0 and ket1, if it comes as 0 0 or 0 1 or 1 0 1 1 output is there, no? So here if the function gives all the zeros at all times, then the function is called as constant. Or if it gives 50% of zeros in the output and 50% of ones in the output, then this is called as balanced state. So 50% zeros we are going to come and 50% ones are going to come in the as a output. So that this is a balanced state. So we are going to determine whether the function f of 0 is equals to 0 at all times or f of 0 is equals to 0 at some times and 1 at another times. So this is the Dawes-Jones algorithm introduction. Now take the Hadamard gate. What does the Hadamard gate gives? 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2 and minus 1 by root 2. This is the Hadamard gate. Single action of single layer Hadamard gate. Okay, so matrix of Hadamard gate. But we can also express this in terms of its action and standard basis sets. H of ket0 is equals to 1 by root 2 ket0 plus 1 by root 2 ket1, and h of ket1 is equals to 1 by root 2 ket0 minus 1 by root 2 ket1. These two equations can be combined to form a single formula. H alpha is equals to, or HA or alpha is equals to, ket alpha is equals to 1 by root 2 ket0 plus 1 by root 2 minus 1 power a or minus 1 power alpha ket1 is equals to 1 by root 2 b belongs to 0 comma 1 sigma minus 1 ab ket b. Okay, this is true for all choices of a belongs to sigma. So this is the application of just Hadamard gate to the our qubits. Okay, so whenever we apply the Hadamard gate to the individual qubits, then the algorithm proceeds and finds whether it is a constant or balanced function. Now this is the circuit of Hadamard gate. Ket0 is operated, H is operated tensor of n is a number and it gives x, where x is operated on h and it gives the result. So ket1 is operated on h, then it gives the function uf, and y tensor product of f of x gives rise to psi 2 and psi 3. Okay, so this is the circuit of Dawes-Jones algorithm. Okay. Next, the iterations. So initial qubits we have taken as 0 0 tensor with 1. Then it gives us ket0 tensor n into ket1. Applying Hadamard gates. If you apply the Hadamard gates for each and every qubit, then what happens? We are going to get as h of 0 0 plus tensor of h of ket1. So psi 1 is equals to what does this ket minus? Ket minus gives us 1 by root 2 ket 0 minus ket 1. Okay, this is ket minus. So we are applying the tensor product, and what happens here? Our result will be 1 by root 2 square 1 by 2 sigma x belongs to ket 0 comma 1 whole square ket x. So this is the result what we are expecting over here. So finally, by doing the tensor product of all the ket 0, psi 1, psi 2, psi 3, psi 4. So the same thing happens over here by applying Hadamard gate to each of the what we did, ket 0 0, ket 0 1, ket 1 0 and ket 1 1. This is what we took now. So by applying Hadamard gate and by applying the tensor product on the Hadamard gate, each and everything will be noted and each and everything will be done over here. Then what happens? H of ket 0 is equals to 1 by root 2 ket 0 plus ket 1. H of ket 1 is equals to 1 by root 2 ket 0 minus ket 1. Okay. So this is the final thing of Diaz-Jose algorithm. So what happens here? This algorithm is just a fundamental algorithm where we are going to note down only the speeding capacity of the final final quantum computational process. Okay, so quantum computer speeds by using this algorithm. Okay, or we can also say about the testing of the quantum computer is done by using the Diaz-Jose algorithm. Now, what are the applications of Diaz-Jose algorithm? Demonstrating quantum advantage. First algorithm to show the how the quantum computing can perform classical computer. Exponential performance will be done by quantum computer over the classical computer. So foundation for quantum algorithms, it serves as a building block for more advanced algorithms like Shor's algorithm and Gruber's algorithm, etc. So complex theory and problem classification keeps in understanding which problems are efficient, solvable on quantum computers versus classical ones. Okay. Now coming to Gruber's algorithm. What does this algorithm says? Unlike the Diaz-Jose algorithm, just Diaz-Jose algorithm, we are going to have the step-by-step process and we are going to have a circuit. What the circuit tells us, the circuit just gives us a function. If is there, ket 0 is kept over the function and operates on the operator. Then what happens? Tensor operation will be done and finally we are going to get either 0 or 1. We can say either 0 or 1 as a constant or balanced. Depends upon the number of outcomes. Okay. So, just an example we took as ket 0 and ket 1. That's it. Okay. So, applying a Hadamard gate on the ket 0 and ket 1, what we are going to get? We are going to have the h of ket 0 and h of ket 1 finally. Okay, h of ket plus ket minus are also be applied over there, and when the tensor product is applied, the tensor product tensor wise product will be obtained for the matrix, then the final product will be either balanced or constant. Okay, this is about the Diaz-Jose algorithm. Now coming to Gruber's algorithm. So what is Gruber's algorithm? This is a bit complex than the Diaz-Jose algorithm, but this is also a fundamental algorithm where we are going to get the we are going to give some input and we are going to get the some output. Okay, so Gruber's algorithm is a quantum algorithm designed to solve the unstructured search problem. So this is what we are going to have unstructured search problem. This is the problem where structure will not be present over there, and the problem can also be randomly taken. So the random taken problem can also have the solution. This is what we can prove from the Gruber's algorithm. It was devised by Gruber in 1996 and provides quadratic speed over the classical algorithms for searching through unsorted disturbance. Okay. Now, so anything is unsorted will be there, we can solve the particular problem. Okay, now key principles. In classical computation, finding a specific item is unstructured. That is, n list of n elements requires O of n time. Okay, Grover's algorithm, however, can find the mark as O root over n times significant faster than the larger data sets. Okay, root over n means, for example, we have 4 number of data sets. In classical thing, 4 items are there. If there are 4 sort of chocolates of different flavors are there, so you are supposed to take, you want to take a what we can say, caramel chocolate. Okay, if you want to take a caramel chocolate, but you don't know whether you will get the caramel chocolate when you just pick up. Okay, so there the 4 candies are kept on the table, and you don't know whether you can if you cannot if you are unable to see the 4 candies, then what happens? Just you'll close your eyes and you'll pick someone. Yes, if you get that one, it will be you are going to get very easily in the first step itself. But you need to check all the 4 chocolates, right? You need to check all the 4 chocolates and you need to get a conclusion that I got this one after your observation. Then, if we apply the same thing to the through quantum mechanics, what happens? O of root n, for example, root n means 2 times itself, right? Root 4 has 2, right? So, 2 times. If you apply the quantum mechanics to the particular quantum computational thing to the particular 4 chocolates, then you can get the chocolate of your choice within 2 times itself. Then how this happens over here? This is step by step. When we follow the algorithm step by steps, we can also get the same. So, algorithm types. There are types of algorithm. Let us have the brief about these algorithms. So, the first one is initialization. The algorithm starts with a superposition of all possible states. So, how this happens? Earlier, we have already we took a 4 chocolates, 4 number of chocolates, and classically we need to search all the 4 chocolates, and we need in order to get the our required flavor. So, quantum mechanically, if we want to have a 4 chocolates, we can only search the 2 times. 2 times it is just needed to search only 2 times to get the our favorite chocolate. Okay, so here what is the thing here? Here we can note down about the speed up of the quantum computational process, and also the Grover's algorithm. What it gives? The superposition of the possible states. Due to the superposition of the possible states itself, we are going to have the number of less iterations. Okay, iterations or iterations. Number of iterations will be reduced and the speed will be obviously increased. So, Oracle application. Oracle function marks the state containing the item we are searching for, the flipping its amplitude. Okay. So, what happens here? Here, we are going to consider the wave nature of the particular particle or wave nature of the particular qubit. Okay. So, when we consider the wave nature of the particular qubit, here the Oracle function marks the state of state containing the item we are searching for by flipping its amplitude. Okay. So, here it will check its amplitude and flipping will be occurred. Grover's diffusion operator. This operator amplifies the amplitude of marked state and reduces the amplitude of the other states. Okay. So, now first iteration, step 2 and step 3 are prepared, repeated using root over n times. Okay, measurement. Finally, the state is measured and collapsing the superposition and giving us the marked element with high probability. Okay. Now, Analogy of Gruber's algorithm. This also, I took an example of 4 chocolates. Here, what is the analogy that taken over here? So, a room full of people. Everyone starts with equal chance of being selected. Okay, the correct person gets highlighted. Each iteration makes the person stand out more. Okay, after several iterations, measuring the quantum state reveals the correct person with high probability. Okay, this is the example they have given, right? Now, see here, for example, each item C in database. Okay, so if we took the C as target, so what is the index over here? Input bits over here 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. Okay, so 0, 0 is taken as A, 0, 1 is taken as B, 1, 0 is taken as C and 1, 1 is taken as D. Okay, now in the step 1, initialize the qubits to 0. Create superposition using Hadamard gates. So here what is going to happen? We are going to superimpose the quantum mechanical principles. Our superposition will be occurring for the quantum circuital gates or quantum gates. Okay. Now apply oracle to mark the target. Apply diffusion operator. Repeat oracle plus diffusion and measure the qubits. This is the process. Okay. Gruber's algorithm amplifies the probability of correct answer using repeated oracle and diffusion operators. So here oracle and diffusion operators plays an important role in determining in speeding up the exponential speed of the components. Enabling a search in approximately root over n steps instead of n steps. Okay, so the iterations will be occurred in a root over n steps. Root over n steps means what? For example, from 64 number is there, 25 number is there. It is easy to understand, no? 5 is 25. Okay, so instead of taking 25 times or instead of making 25 times the particular thing, then we can make in 5 times itself. Iteration can be made in 5 times itself. This is the basic thing that we are going to use in Gruber's algorithm. Now, if we apply the Hadamard gates to the Gruber's algorithm, so consider a qubit system which starts from ket 0 and ket 0. So, the vector form is ket 0, 0 is equals to 1, 0, 0. This is already we have we know about ket 0 is equal ket 0, 0 is equal to 1, 0, 0. We have already dealt in previous video lectures. Now, apply the Hadamard gate to each qubit. Hadamard gate is applied for each qubit. Hadamard gate is equal to h is equal to 1 by root 2, 1, 1, 1 minus 1. Okay, applying h to 1 qubit. H of 0 is equals to ket 0 plus ket 1 by root 2. Applying h of 0 to both the qubits. H of tensor product of h of h ket 0, 0. Now, if you apply the total thing, what we are going to have ket 0, 0 plus ket 0, 1 plus ket 1, 0 plus ket 1, 1. We are going to have all the combinations. But this is not the final step. What we are going to have the final step in the final output, we are going to get 1, 1, 0. So, initially what we took 0, 0 as input and finally what we got 1, 0 as output. Okay. This will be done in a fraction of seconds instead of manually taking and all the things. If we give the coding also, when the computers can also understand the thing and speeds up the total process. So, before the application of the, after the application of the Hadamard gate, it gives the superposition state. And after the measurement, it gives the final answer as 1, 0. Okay, ket 1, 0. Now, in this video lecture, you have learned about the quantum entanglement and quantum algorithms. So, this is the final step of quantum computing lesson, where you have already learned about different gates. Okay, single qubit gate, CNOT gate, swap gate and Hadamard gate are also learned by you. And also, what we have already spoken about the quantum evolution process and also Today we have already learned about quantum entanglement and how the quantum entanglement is applied to the quantum computers to the present day situation. These are all the factors that are about the further quantum computing. Okay, so this is how the quantum computer works, and now quantum computational process is very much faster developing at the rate, right? So this is about complete quantum computation. Thank you.